Hände på balla delay, bara den mayo, bara den upsa, hände på. Okay, I've been listening to a lot of BTS lately. I can't lie. Dark and Wild. It's crazy because BTS technically has not reached their peak, like, because Dynamite, I refuse to acknowledge that as their peak. Right? But that earlier music, man, I kind of understand the fervor. I kind of understand the hoopla. You know what I mean? Hoopla! Like, I really get it. Jimin? Circa 2015? Jimin? I really understand. And he was a little too young to be doing the things that he was doing, he was a little too young to be doing the things he was doing. And I have a new microphone. I hope you can hear a little bit of the difference. Otherwise, the $40 I spent, ooh, big spender, will be worth not much anything at all. I have coffee today in a pickle jar because I refuse to buy mason jars. I just feel like that's a thing that humans should not have to buy. I feel like mason jars should spawn in the environment spontaneously. So, what is my coffee? I have pumpkin spice cold brew with some oat milk, a little bit of whipped cream, a little bit of cinnamon on top. I really need to buy some pumpkin pie seasoning, so I can really like elevate this, because this is already delicious. I'm drinking coffee out of my trough, but I feel like I could elevate it more with some pumpkin pie seasoning. You know what I'm talking about. And I really want to get into some fall activities. I just got a good morning text. Oh, shout out. I really am trying to be more intentional about dating. I really am. And it just takes a lot of energy, and I'm realizing that it's just going to take a lot of energy, and I'm going to have to be okay with that. Otherwise, it's not going to happen for me. And if I want it to happen, I need to make it a priority. I need to make sure that I'm expending energy on it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just a natural introvert, so it just takes a lot of energy out of me just to talk to anybody, especially after I'm dealing with kids all day. I just don't want to do it. But it's not really a choice, especially in the digital age. Connecting via text sucks ass. I just feel like you don't get the nuances. I sound like my mom. You don't get the nuances of in real life human connection. I'm clearly filming this in the morning. I took the day off because my mom's going to be here this weekend, and I never take the day off. I'm constantly having to do split lists because there's not enough substitutes and take other people's children. And I never take the day off. I'm taking the day off. I canceled a meeting today. He was like, how can we get back on track? Little does he know, this coach that I'm meeting with, my next meeting will be my last meeting because I'm done with commitments that don't service me. There's so many observations and coaching and mentoring and advice that you get in your first years of being a teacher, and it's so overwhelming because you don't know whose advice to take. And so at a certain point, you just got to take your own advice. And you just got to do what you're going to do. Like, I'm going to fuck up regardless. So I'm going to mess up regardless. I'm trying to cuss less. Probably won't be happening anytime soon. Today, I wanted to talk about seasonal depression and kind of what I'm doing to preemptively and proactively combat it, because it's been bad for the last few years. And maybe touch a little bit on grief because I watched this movie called TWINLESS, but we'll get into that later. Whatever. Seasonal depression. I started noticing a pattern that in specific times of the year, the colder winter months, I would be a lot sadder than other times of the year. I think I experienced depression very passively, but in these winter months, I start to feel it more intensely, more profoundly. October, November, December, January, bleed into a little bit of February. When the sun comes back out, I turn into happy me. I turn into Summer Kendall, and Summer Kendall is who I want to be year round. But she only comes out at the end of February. I miss her. I love her. Spring, Summer Kendall. She's bouncy. She's fun. She's cool. She's spontaneous. She's spirited. She's energetic. She's optimistic. Winter Kendall, she's a slob. She doesn't bathe. She doesn't clean her home. She doesn't leave her room. She does not let the light in. She does not feel the rain on her skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. The rest is still unwritten. What am I talking about? So I noticed this pattern over the years. And I think especially one year in college, my second year of college, I watched 15 consecutive seasons of Survivor in my room, only leaving my room for class or to get 3 or 4 meals worth of food from the cafeteria that I would pack into a small styrofoam box because we low key were not allowed to take food after out of the cafeteria. So I would pack my styrofoam full of slices of pizza, greasy, cardboard-esque pizza. I would take that cardboard-esque pizza back to my room with the occasional jug of applesauce that I got from the dollar store. I would eat said applesauce and said cardboard-esque pizza while watching consecutive episodes and seasons of Survivor in bulk. I would lock my door. My friends would knock on my door. I would hear the knock. I would turn off the lights and the TV to pretend I was not there. I would wait until they left, and I would continue to watch Survivor seasons in bulk. Do I love Survivor? Yes. Is that healthy or indicative of good mental health? Absolutely not. However, I can recite to you some of Sandra Diaz's most important quotes from her 2 winning seasons, like the back of my hand. Sandra Diaz Twine, I love you. Queen stays queen. If you're not tapped into Survivor, you really should. The show actually still is quite excellent. Season 49 is a little bit of a dead, but we have to get through 49 to get to 50 because Coach, Q, and Rizzo on the same island is crazy. That's for the Survivor fans out there. Anyway, so I started noticing this pattern, especially when it got bad that year. I was like, oh my gosh, when it hits mid-October, I start getting sad. But I know what I've been doing to avoid this lately has been helping because it's mid-October and I'm feeling so much better about life and myself. Granted, I'm in a much better position than I have been in the past, and I'm very grateful for it. I just kind of wanted to talk through some of those things that I've been consciously and intentionally doing. One of those things that I've been doing for a long time actually is exercise. It started off as running. I would go to the gym and I would do about 5 miles, like 3 or 4 times a week, which is crazy in the sense that I don't like running. I never exercised before, but my mom was like, you need endorphins. And I was like, I'm going to run. I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to buy a bike. I like cardio. Running is not my first choice of cardio, but it's what I had to do. And your girl's going to do what she's got to do. So I was running a lot on the treadmill in college. Now that it's sort of transitioned into dance is my source of cardio and my source of artistic expression and catharsis. I love learning choreography and perfecting choreography. I think I said this in the last episode, but I'm a perfectionist. I just love perfecting things. It gives me a tangible goal to work towards. And then the cardiovascular aspect of it all has been really nice. And then in addition to that, since I'm on a second team this year, unlike last year, we have to do conditioning as well. And I've been really enjoying that. I skipped the last 2 weeks because I've been busy, but I wish I went last week. But it's helping me with things like choreography retention and learning choreography faster so that I can get more into the self-expression part when I'm in classes because I'm insecure about taking classes. I said this in the last part too. Blah, 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 blah. Conditioning, like ab workouts and drilling fundamentals and techniques, learning history behind different dance styles, and that has been really, really fun. And so I want to make going to that conditioning class every week a priority for me. I just got to get a few other things in order for that to be a reality for me. Entonces, so cardiovascular activity, endorphins, getting the blood pumping. That's also a lot of socialization. I challenge myself to make sure I talk to at least 2 people every time I go to these kind of dance things. It ends up being more lately, which is really good that I'm speaking to more than 2 people, because there was a point in my life where speaking to one person at an event seemed like it was impossible for me. So I'm very grateful for that. Another thing has been managing my time at work. Work-life balance is really important for me. So I do as much as I can to make my time at the school effective. And I leave no later than 5:30. Teaching high school, I really have to compartmentalize not taking what these kids say to me personally and in my heart, because they're going to do anything to not work. They're going to try to lash out subconsciously or consciously. They're going to try to lash out in some type of way that gets them out of doing work. And so when you realize that that is more often than not the motivation behind what they're saying, you learn to let it roll off your back. And then you kind of learn to twist it, spin it in a way that you're building rapport with the student. And then you kind of have like a little back and forth that has more levity than it does malintent. And I think I'm getting a lot better at that. And just like, I'm not about to sit here and yell. I'm just going to stand here. And when you're ready to participate in the lesson in a way that is conducive to how a school operates, then we can move on. You know what I'm saying? So that's been a really good thing for me as well. Making sure that my apartment is clean and decorating my apartment. I have some decorations here I want to add to my gallery wall. I need some more pillows because I love a maximalist living room, but I like a more minimal bedroom. Love a maximalist living room. So I really want to fill this wall. I have some like little like K-pop fan trinkets in here. Like I have some inclusions from albums. This is Markin right there. Markin? Who the hell is Markin? This is Mark right here. Mark Lee from his solo album. We got some Key Bum. We have some more posters, like K-pop poster commissions that I find from artists that I follow on Twitter. And then they have a Gumroad, and then I'll go pay for their prints. Love doing that because it's a more subtle and more aesthetically pleasing way to display your K-pop fandom memorabilia. I have some other things. I have some pictures from home. If you get posters from Five Below and you match them, they look really nice. I have a Radiohead poster further down the way that looks really nice because it's matted. And Polaroids, some memorabilia from when I went to Boston. I got some cyanotypes from RM's album Indigo up there. Just some nice stuff, like little things like that make me happy. Candles. The dollar store has these essential oil candles that are really, really nice. I have the toasted marshmallow one right there and the calm one, and they're like, what, $2-3? And they're like a big, 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 big candle, and they burn really well and for a long, long time. It's a big, big, big candle, and the scent payoff is really good as well. So little things like that to combat my depression and just being self-aware and reflective as I move through the world. My 3 favorite holidays are in this time: Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, back to back to back, arguably some of the best holidays. I love them. I love decorating for them. I love participating in them. I am a cornball. I love all of the outfits and the pictures and the songs on your Instagram story and the traditions. Like, I'm really big into that. And so you would think this would be a happy time for me. But I think this time also coincides with a lot of grief that I don't know if I've completely worked through, in the sense that I keep saying in the sense that like it's completely normal, but every time I just get, girl, what's purple head? What's purple girl? Purple. What's Roomy mama? Miss Bloom. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm gonna put it right here. In the sense that he's going to be cleaning your toilets, Donald Trump. Why would she say that? In the sense that working through grief. You see what I mean? I just joke through it. I joke through things, and I don't let myself feel the emotions in totality until later down the line. And it results in clogged up emotions, backed up emotions that I need to work through. The biggest losses in my life thus far have been both my grandparents and then my good family friend, Ruth. And they all hit me in different ways because of the different circumstances of them. And I just think around this time of year is when I really think about it deeply. So I think about it. And the thinking turns into these thought spirals that makes me paralyzed with sadness and anxiety about who else am I going to lose. And then I start losing motivation. Like, what am I doing with my life? I don't feel successful. And like, you see how it funnels. What am I doing here? I don't deserve anything I have. I shouldn't even get out of bed in the morning. Or what difference am I making? La-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. Spiral. Turtles all the way down. Oh, that is really good today. When you get the sugar, milk, cold brew ratio right, and your day is just I really hope you can hear that stomping. I really hope you can, because luckily I'm not usually here when this happens. I just took the day off. Grief is so mutable. And ever changing and morphing, and it comes in these waves when you least expect it. You'll be watching a movie or listening to a song and you're like, oh my gosh. Like my grandma, Beyonce's song, to the left, came on the radio. And I remember we were hearing it in the radio one time. It was me, my mom, my granny, my sister. We were all driving somewhere. And that song came on, and my granny started singing it, to the left, to the left. And then she goes, to the right, to the right. And we're like, Granny, that's not the words. She's like, yes, the hell it is. We're like, Granny, that's not the song. Like, you're thinking of a different song. We don't know what song you're thinking of, but it's not this one by Beyonce. By Beyonce Knows Carter. She was like, that's the words. And then she blew up on us, and she got so angry. I loved how angry that woman was. She was so unapologetically angry. And it was most definitely the cigarettes. But like, I think I get it. If I was an old woman, I would probably be that way too. She's like, the lyrics are whatever the hell I say they are. So grief like that comes in waves. Or I live in an area now, and my family friend Aunt Ruth, called her auntie because she's so close, Aunt Ruth, she showed us this place called Lucky Dog Books to go get secondhand books. And so now every time I pass it, I get emotional. Or Humble Pies. She took me to Humble Pies for the first time. So when I go get Humble Pies, I think of her. She took me to my first date, which was a Conan Gray concert the day before Thanksgiving. And it turns out the guy's gay. Shout out to him, because I was so in love with him. I was so in love with him, and he's so obviously gay looking back at it. Like, me too. You said you a lesbian, girl. Me too. The music references today are really unhinged. We're at Turn Off Your Cell Phone by BTS, Unwritten, Everything You Own in the Box to the Left, Beyonce Knows Carter. What's that song? Irreplaceable? And now we're at whatever Drake song that is. Watch it not be Drake. I don't know. Who cares? But it hits you in waves like that. It's good to be able to look back at some of it with levity, and other parts of it feel like this weight on my chest. And I'm like, ow, 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 ow. Ow, wow, 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 wow. Like when a Conan Gray song comes on, and I think about coming back from that date in tears because old dude broke to me that he was gay over dinner, and I was like, oh my God. What? And I was literally sobbing when I got back in the car when Aunt Ruth picked me up. And she just comforted me. She got me ice cream. And we listened to Brockhampton, Pre-Cancellation. And so that one is the mix of levity and ouch, ouch, ouch. But it's nice to be able to talk about it. But what really got me thinking about grief was this movie I watched by James Sweeney, directed, written, starring James Sweeney opposite Dylan O'Brien, called Twinless. There's going to be major spoilers for this, and I think the premise is good enough where I will recommend you leave and go watch it. I please go watch Twinless, because I don't think it's for everyone, but it's for me, because it's weird and it's specific and it's zany and it's odd and it's absurd and it's scary, but you understand. And then it's and the cinematography is quite nice as well. But I say all of that to say, the premise is two men meet at a support group for people who have lost their twin. That already is hurting, because I am a twin. I have a twin. Now, we're the less cool twin variation because we're not identical, but we are very, 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 very close. We are attached at the hip. It's just that on first glance, people think we're cousins and not twins, but we have the twin bond. We have the twin telepathy. I feel what she's feeling. I told her if she goes before me, I will be going right after. And I don't care that she does not reciprocate those feelings. If she goes, I'm going right after. So I'm already in pain by the premise. I'm like, oh my God, losing your twin. There's support groups for this. I'm going to need the information pronto, just in case. I'm going to need the contact information pronto. And so you're going through the first 20 minutes of the film. You're like, oh my gosh, male platonic relationships, men working through grief, talking about their emotions, connecting and combating their loneliness, male loneliness epidemic. And then you start to realize the title card hasn't me, movie buff, film major, the title card, where the title card at? That's when you know some bullshit is about to happen. When that title card is delayed as fuck, that's when you know some shit about to go down. So I'm sitting here, you're getting to know the two main characters, Dennis and Roman. Dennis has a twin brother named Dean. Roman has a twin brother named Rocky. They're talking about their experiences losing these twin brothers. Boom, title card. Dennis ain't got no twin. Dennis hooked up with Roman's late brother, Rocky. We learn this via flashback scene. Rewind. Then we work our way all the way back up to the funeral. Then drop us right back in the present day where he ha ha keying, boo hoo hooing, hugging present day Roman. Men are not lonely enough. Men will do anything but talk about their emotions. You done stalked this man. Mind you, it's Dennis's fault Rocky dead. I just can't even, I'm not even telling it right. I'm butchering it. Dennis, the reason Rocky dead, because he was yelling at him, screaming, boo-hoo, crying, because Rocky done moved on to another man. Rocky gay, by the way. Gay Dylan O'Brien portrayal. Is that kosher? Is that woke? He had a gay lisp and a mustache with some skin-tight jeans with that booty popping. Is that kosher? Is that okay? Gay Dylan O'Brien on my screen, I too would crash out in a similar fashion in the middle of the street that therefore causes Rocky to get rant over. That's my favorite Black colloquialism, rant. To get rant over and die. Then you gonna show up at the funeral in a wig, in a B.O.B. wig. What's your name, B.O.B.? So they calling you Bob. Stop playing. You know that I'm known for the Bob. And hug his neck like you ain't the sole reason why that dude is dead. And then you're going to befriend him and infiltrate his life. And then you're like, oh man, he's actually cool. Well, yes. Oh man, I'm actually having a friend who likes me for me, except under the guise of lies. Men are not lonely enough. They will do anything but speak about their emotions plainly. Frankly, it morphs into like a psychological horror because now you're seeing the ways that Dennis is manipulating Roman, but you're also seeing how deeply lonely he is and how much he had been craving connection, which is why he was crashing out over Rocky in the first place, because he was like, oh my God, I found the love of my life. And now he's dead. He got an identical twin brother that now I kind of want to cozy up to because it's like his memory living on. I can't imagine being an identical twin. I can't imagine. Me and my twin had enough problems trying to separate and carve out our own identities for each other, and we don't even look that similar. Picture. And we don't even look that similar. I can't imagine having someone who has your exact face. One of you passes on, then you have a posthumous version of yourself walking around. Wow. That's so weird identity-wise. And philosophically speaking, because people are just going to inherently kind of impose your memory onto this person who is an entire separate entity. And that's what Dennis was doing. But then he kind of starts steering away from that original intent, and he starts to get to know Roman for who Roman is. And Roman is this meathead. He's not as book smart. He's a little bit more street smart. He's aggressive. He does things with like brute force. He has this like strenuous relationship with his mother, and he has this inferiority complex shrouding his brother, and how he's like, the brother was the favorite. He's more charismatic. He gets to travel to Japan and do this, and that. And you contrast that against Dennis, who is more shy, who is awkward, who has difficulty connecting with people on a deep level. And he wants to be this book author. So he's like artsy and corporate life. He ends up being a real estate agent by the end of the movie, which I thought was really funny. Again, you're seeing this platonic relationship grow. And you're like, it's not real. It's like, look, it's kind of not real. Like it's real, but it's not real. So it turns into the psychological horror. You're like, oh my God, Dennis is scary. Because Dennis is a little bit crazy, low-key. Because we haven't even touched the twin fetish of it all. What a weird, crazy thing to add. We haven't even touched the twin fetish of it all. Him photoshopping pictures with an imaginary twin, duplicating childhood pictures of himself so it looked like he have a twin because he's that deeply lonely. He's sitting there quoting Parent Trap. That scene after girl, and when Roman finds out and he rightfully beats that ass, and it's just a bloody Dennis sitting here quoting Parent Trap line for line. You're like, I understand you, Dennis. I understand why you did what you did, but you also a little off. And James Sweeney plays this in such a clunky, awkward, I don't want to say grotesque, but it was just so cringy for me in a good way. It was so cringy for me. I'm like, oh, like Dennis, James. And he has this really blank, he has this like blank Asian stare because his eyes are just so dark, but they're so doe-like and big. And he has a very cute visage. If I had to quantify his face, Dylan O'Brien has like a more hunky face, sci-fi action movie leading man face, hunky, but in a more attainable way. And then James Sweeney has this very cute look about him because his eyes are kind of wide apart. His eyes are farther apart. They're wide and they're very bright, but they're so dark that they absorb all the light. So he just has this blank stare that he does as Dennis, and the way he kind of holds his body and moves about in this awkward, not aloof, just kind of templated way. This templated way that is like, whew, bone chilling. And I loved how absurd of a take on grief this was, because you hear the initial premise and you're like, that's a pretty good movie in and of itself, having these people grow through this support group like that. I would watch a movie of it on its own. That is a strong premise. And then when it gets flipped on its head, it reminded me of Dear Evan Hansen, which I am unfortunately a huge fan of because I found it in my developmental years. Yeah, Ben Platt Apple Baby, but he sang his ass off. Way back, whoa, whoa. Kind of turned into Hugh Jackman there a little bit. Shout out Joey. Loaf of bread. I'm on TikTok way too much. I'm on TikTok way, way, way too much. We need films that are more specific. And A24 has done a great job of platforming these types of premises because this is a Lionsgate movie. It's a Lionsgate movie. But you read the premise and I'm like, it sounds something like something A24 would do. It sounds like something A24 would do, which is really cool. And the way that symbolism is done in this movie too, everything is very cyclical. Everything is very cyclical. So something is shown and it comes back around. I think about Dennis and Roman's first encounter where they're eating out. And Dennis goes, do you like sandwiches? Because he was going to go out for sandwiches with Rocky. And then he finds out that Dennis does quite like sandwiches. And at the end of the movie, when Roman is trying to reconcile and maybe get a little bit more closure about why Dennis did what he did, they're eating a sandwich. Or at the end of every exchange with Dennis and Roman, they are never able to agree on what they want to say at the end. So it's like, do you want a refund or do you want credit? And they both say the opposite answer. Do you want this to go or do you want to take the food away? And then they say the opposite answer. And at the very end of the film, they finally agree. They're like, let's get it to go. So they're like, oh, there's some closure here, but the forgiveness is not always there. Closure, forgiveness, not mutually exclusive. You can have one without the other. You can have both. You can have neither. You can need both, but only get one. There's a line, Roman's new girlfriend, towards the middle and then the end of the movie. Roman is a hothead. He yells a lot. And he yells at the girlfriend. And she says, don't talk to me like that. You cannot speak to me like that. And he goes, I'm sorry. They hug. They kiss. And she says, I forgive you. Roman says, I don't deserve it. And she says, deservedness doesn't always... Is that a bird? Might be a squirrel. Deservedness doesn't always equate to forgiveness. You might not deserve it, but I still forgive you anyway. Dennis did not deserve Roman's forgiveness, but he made an effort to get some closure and kind of probe a little bit like, Why did you do all of this, bro? For Rocky? Rocky is not even in the film for more than 10 minutes. Again, gay Dylan O'Brien. It's just something about that phrase that is really like the concept of gay Dylan O'Brien. That being the reason why I knew this film existed, because when it was doing its festival circuit and it showed at Sundance and everybody was like, because his booty was out. Thank you, James Sweeney. Dylan O'Brien was running Wattpad face claims like the Navy. I know Dylan. Me and Dylan are. And it wasn't even fan fiction. It was original character reader inserts, brother. That was my bread and butter. That was my creme de la creme. Like, fan fiction is excellent on Wattpad, right? But if you want some really, really good fan fiction, you go to AO3, you go to Tumblr. Wattpad with those original characters and the face claim when they added the photo feature and so you could do your cast for the first chapter. You weren't there. I'm literally getting choked up. You had to be there. Chloe Grace Moretz, Lucky Blue Smith, Dylan O'Brien were holding it down. Zendaya was holding it down for the face claims on Wattpad. Me and Dylan are like this. And don't get me started on the Maze Runner fan fiction. Will Poulter holding it down. Entonces. So, anyway, I just loved how absurd this movie went with tackling these themes. It is categorized as a dark comedy, which I definitely feel is true. It's definitely really funny. But I did have a stomach ache after that. Two of my favorite cinematography moments from it: the party scene, the Halloween party scene, where it's split screen, which I've seen done a few times before, but I just really liked how this one was done, where Roman's side was muted. You're going through Dennis's perspective of him trying to converse with people, and you can see, just even without audio, how well Roman is able to connect with people. And then on the other side of the screen, you see how Dennis is struggling to connect with people. And again, one side is muted, one side has audio. And then you see how they're navigating through the party until it all comes together and coalesces. And then it starts to blend and merge back into one frame, one screen. Really excellent. Really excellent. And then the double date from the two people that Dennis and Roman met respectively at the parties. They went on a double date with one another. And the camera is just in constant rotation, showing what their hands are doing underneath the table. And so you're starting to see more of Dennis's facade crumble while Roman is falling more in love with his new girlfriend. And the camera is just in constant rotation. And it's really, really cool. Really, really cool. I did not like that at all. Yeah, watch Twinless. I watched it on Amazon Prime for $10. You can't beat that. But I'm really excited because my mom is going to be here. I have to go pick her up from the train station soon. So I think I'm going to close it out on that today. I might do some media, a media of the week. So my media obviously is going to be Twinless. My song is going to be Blah Blah by The Boys. Another song you should listen to is 360 by Amare. You should listen to Trinkets by Ashniko. I need to tap into the new Lexi Lou album. I'm sure it's great. I need to tap into the new In Mix. I've heard it's great. I listened to the song Podium yesterday in my conditioning class. Shout out to Mara for recommending that. It was really excellent. So I need to tap into the new In Mix. And then for books, I'm listening to the audiobook of Shine by Jessica Chung, whom I believe is an ex-Girls' Generation member. And I've been loving that book because I've been wanting some cheesy YA in my life. Cheesy, positive. Cheesy / pos. Okay? So go listen to those things. Go watch Twinless. Love yourself. And don't forget to keep talking like nobody's listening. I didn't do my intro. Whatever. We'll do it next time. Maybe the cold open is just part of the thing. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope the microphone is nice. Bye.